Spook, I can't hear myself think. What are you doing?
Sly, I'm learning to play the keyboard.
Welcome to the Work in Progress Rant. I'm Sly.
And I'd like to apologise for that keyboard gag, Spook.
Spook.
Yes.
Played the might of the Cats and...
I just played the might of the keyboard.
And 4 guys in yellow.
Only 4. Do you know what rhymes with 4? 4 skinned.
Going back there. What'd you think about the win against the Cats?
How fucking good was that?
That was fucking awesome.
How unexpectedly good was that? Mm-hmm. Although you expected it, I didn't. I was down on them.
Yeah.
I panicked. I hit the panic button last week.
It's just there.
Is it?
Yeah. No, it's his tail, sorry. Do bears have tails?
Well, hopefully it's not his penis.
So what'd you think?
Of course they got tails.
So Jack Ginnivan came in...
Did he?
Sub, and you had Frampton going down back, Howe going up forward. First quarter really looked like they were just fucking off to a fly, and it could be a repeat of some shit performances.
Off to a flyer?
Yeah, the Cats fly.
Oh, the Cats were off to a flyer. I thought we were off to a flyer.
No,
I didn't.
What do you think it is, the 218 grand final?
Yeah, don't mention that. Don't mention the war. No, as I was saying to you earlier, I didn't get home in time to see the first quarter. When I was listening to Dribble M cover it for me, it sounded diabolical. But
Dribble M?
No, but when I come to watch the replay of the first quarter, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it's actually... The big problem is a lot of their goals, they were just those coast-to-coast goals, or not coast-to-coast, sort of unimpeded goals. Like, they just went forward with such ease. They had people free in the goal square. Pressure was down. Well, not down. We just weren't... I saw Jeremy Howe talk about the Hawthorn loss.
Do you know why the pressure was down?
John Farnham?
Well, that was the first thing that popped into my head as I said that. It's because we're a work in progress.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I saw Howe talking about the Hawthorn loss, just saying Hawthorn were able to pick apart our zones, so we couldn't apply the pressure, which is fundamental to our game. And I was thinking, okay, if that's how easy it is to undo our game plan, we're in a bit of trouble. Moore did a hamstring or something, and got to commend Collingwood, because without Nick Dacos, who I'd say is already their best player, Darcy Moore would be the second best player, and they lost Moore during the game, so they couldn't plan for it. They just had to improvise. And credit to McRae for leaving Howe down forward, because the easy thing would have been, let's move Howe down back. And credit to Nathan Murphy, I think, really stepped up to fill a lot of that void. And, from coming back from an injury, which he looked like he'd be out for 4 weeks.
He's like Lazarus.
Yeah, so I think he was injected with triple blood.
Was he?
Yeah.
What were they doing with that triple?
I don't know. And Jack Ginnivan, got to make special mention, because he came on, and I think he really provided...
It's a spark.
Yeah, quite a spark. And the thing I noticed with him is he was still getting hit high occasionally, or getting tackled, but he was trying to keep the ball moving. Last year he fell into the habit of like, if I get hit, I want the free, and that's it. The ball's dead. It's in my hands. This time he just kept moving the ball. So even if he got hit high once. But of course it's Jack Ginnivan.
And he was unselfish too. So that way you avoid David King hanging shit on you this week.
Yeah. So I thought he really injected some liveliness into that forward line. It also allowed Hill to go further afield and play sort of almost like a high half-forward midfield role. And from that point, the second quarter was to and fro. And then the third quarter really just put our foot down and accelerated away from them. Even though Jeremy Cameron was terrorising us, and Darcy Cameron was also terrorising us. So it was a terror of Camerons.
A terror of Camerons?
Yep. And I think most of the players actually did pretty well. I'm glad we've played Patrick Lipinski into form. I'll take your apologies now.
Yeah, I think we should probably... Have we got an apology list?
Yeah.
We've got to apologise to a few players.
Yeah.
Because it is one game.
After about 8, yeah.
Yeah. We excuse everything from this point onwards, don't we? And we just we apologise. Should we just run one of those lists up really quick? The text that goes up really fast. You're good at the special effects. You'll pull that off, won't you, when you're on the couch later?
No.
Did you hear what I just said?
Yep. Yeah, thanks. Jared Hilly. The pressure was really there. So that was actually good to see intensity. But you made a point of saying, is this what the game plan really relies on, this frenetic pressure, and are we always going to be able to bring it? Which actually poses an interesting question. That most games we play that 40%. Is it only because we're going to apply that pressure for 40%? In McRae's press conference, they're showing our pressure indicators in quarter 4 they were non-existent. So I just totally dropped away.
To be fair, I think it took its toll. Because my I don't think I made the comment to you, but to another group was, you looked at the way that Geelong were attacking when I started watching and that sort of thing. And based on that lead they built, you sort of think, well, they're going to be able to sustain this for 4 quarters, and they quickly dropped off. And conversely, our tempo went up to counter, and then we started scoring, and then we reeled them back in. It's a funny old game in that respect now that I just don't think anyone's capable of playing 4 quarters, except for Carlton at the moment. They seem to be fucking doing everything right. Of that really manic intensity for that long.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect to be playing 100 minutes of manic intensity. But
I think you do.
I just wanted to control the moments then they don't have the ascendancy. Too often when opposition get the run on against us, it is really like a training drill. We don't touch it. You go back to that Adelaide game where they just bang goal after goal, and we're just witches' hats. And that's actually been intrinsic to a lot of clubs overrunning us in little sections of game time. We don't have pressure there. I don't know if it's because the zones aren't working. I don't know if it's because we've gotten a little bit slower because of the return of certain players. Or
training loads, you think about that much?
Could be McRae.
Do you think they just switched on? That they had the loading worked perfectly to start being effective from the second quarter onwards?
I'd be really curious about the training loads because McRae actually said it also. I'd be curious if they've, I don't want to say ended it prematurely, but sort of realised the damage it's potentially doing.
But it was from consistently what you hear. It's a couple of weeks of really high intensity training, then they just bring it back to normal, and it's meant to have that whack in a couple of weeks' time. I know you don't believe in it. Well, you're too busy looking for Bigfoot on the weekend and the Loch Ness Monster in the Yarra.
Yeah, but it's absurd that they say, okay, we have the training loads, and then coming out of that, you have a bounce. It's like, okay, so you run these people to the point of exhaustion, and when you stop doing it, they're more energetic. Well, that's science for me. Obviously, you're going to feel better when you don't train as fucking hard, and you're going to be a bit more lively. Like I said, these guys have been playing the whole year. Surely their fitness should be where it is. I don't know, but as I said last week when the Chief was here, people used to believe in altitude training. No one's doing that anymore, so I'd be curious if one club ever had the guts to go, we're just going to play the whole season and train the same way the whole time. Billy Frampton came back. Cameron probably smashed him, but Frampton did some really nice things too.
Look, his numbers weren't particularly anything you'd look back on and say brilliant, but I just thought he was just his constant presence. He dropped back on Cameron, and Cameron, I don't know how many Cameron ended up kicking on him, but it wasn't the whole 7.
No.
I think he kicked 2 on the umpires, Cameron.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
And then 5 on Merritt. But I thought Frampton really performed well. I'm really becoming a big fan of his. He's got really good mobility for a bloke his size, and he seems to have a good tank. And that's
he's
exactly
nice kick too. He's got some nice skills.
I think that's exactly what we want to take into finals. And he's been loading up apparently too, so he's good to go. He reckons.
I'm surprised they ever dropped him. And I know part of that was circumstance because he came in as a defender, and then we had all these injuries, and they had to play him.
We're playing him for the next couple of weeks.
but I would have hoped, if you're going to play more as a defender, then you got to do what Essendon used to do with Dustin Fletcher and Hawthorn used to do with Josh Gibson. Was that his first name, Josh? Whatever his name was, Gibson. Is they're not put on the best forward. They're put on like the 3rd or 4th best forward so they can zone off and provide the intercept and all that. And that's what you're going to do with Moore if you're going to play him as a defender. Don't make him the anchor of the whole defence. That's why those sort of roughhead types are really important. You go back to like the 2000s. Preston Giacomo would be the rock. He'd play on the best forward. He wasn't providing a rebound though. If you're expecting guys like Moore to shut down the best forward but also provide the intercept and the rebound, it's like, well, you're fucking asking quite a bit. You should engineer that. And Kevin Cheetah used to do that all the time for Essendon. Fletcher would always be like pretty much the worst forward unless someone got a hold of him. Then Fletcher would be moved on. But he was playing that intercept role. He was playing that rebound role with his beautiful kicking and that. So with Moore when he comes back, I hope they keep Frampton there to play on the Gorillas and then get Moore to be the one who chops out. And
I agree. It's an interesting conundrum coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Well, I'll talk about that a little bit later. Mychek comes back with 5 goals. Howe kicked 2.
He's back in the form. We've got an apology laid up for him. I don't think we bagged him.
We never bagged him.
No, so we don't have to apologise to him.
McStay's been pretty good. Like, I got to give him credit.
How many goals he kicked this week?
2.
He likes kicking. He's good. He's got great hands. I'll give him that. He's contested mark, and he's one of those blokes too that consistently leads.
Yeah.
And when they do line him up and they get him on full flight, he looks very, very good.
Yeah,
he kicks 2 goals a week every week, guaranteed.
I wish he just. Well, we know what's not happening this week. Yeah, I just wish he had a bit more mongrel about him, like the Lee Browns, the Anthony Rockers. Let's talk about Patrick Dangerfield. Does any elite footballer fucking fall over as much as he does the moment he feels physical pressure he can't escape? He just flops. The one that I found really funny was when he was streaming out of the centre and Crisp went to tackle him and Crisp's hand was here, adjacent with his waist, and somehow he collected Dangerfield high because Dangerfield fell into it and it was too high. It's like, why do people pick on someone like Jack Ginnivan, but you ignore that this guy just flops over the moment he can't escape a situation, and if he's in the tackle, he'll fucking hurl himself like he's been shot. It really disgusts me that, people will pick on Ginnivan, and Dangerfield's a champion. He doesn't need to do this. That's always the commentators put on it. Oh, he's got the skill. Why is he doing this? But they don't pick it out. The commentators will not mention the amount of time this guy flops over the moment he feels any form of pressure.
What's his wife been saying?
I don't know.
Is he flopping at home?
I am not going there.
That's what he said.
So, Cameron marks one outside the boundary.
Well, our Cameron.
No, that would require our Cameron to take a mark. No, Jeremy Cameron.
Yes, I'm well aware of that fucking moment. What a fucking crock that was. Seriously.
Yeah.
And before you get into what you're about to say,
I'm not saying anything.
There is fucking people on Twitter drawing fucking connecting lines between the boundary and talking about the arc of the boundary line, giving you some sort of visual misrepresentation of what actually happened. I'll tell you what fucking happened. Not only did he mark the ball a metre over the fucking line, he didn't control the ball when he took the mark until he was over the line. So there's 2 fucking breaches of the rule there, but somehow it was a mark. And the AFL's come out and said, yep, nothing to see here. And that would be, they couldn't possibly admit that they fucked up so badly 2 events in that one game.
Yeah, and Gerard Watley actually bagged them for doing that, saying it was out.
Did he say anything about Bessie?
No, but he said that AFL were going to back the umpires. That's what they
Grimes was pretty quiet. Watley got that one wrong, didn't he?
I don't know. Which one's Grimes? Anyway.
Grimes.
Yeah,
Grimes.
No. Yeah, no.
Grimes.
Yeah, I wasn't going there. I think you can always tell.
Can you?
If something is, like that one. I think you can tell it's out simply by the reaction of Maynard and Murphy.
I think the fact that half the crowd was ducking from the ball,
wouldn't
that have been a giveaway as well?
But you see, players will reluctantly accept the decision if they go, okay, and they look at the scoreboard. So Maynard and Murphy were both calling it out.
Straight away.
And then they were accepting the decision, but they both looked at the scoreboard, and then they both got upset again, and, Maynard exploded and Murphy was pushing him away because they saw it was out. Judging by their reaction, like I said, players will accept the situation pretty quick because they've got to accept the situation. But given their response, it was pretty clear that, look, these 2 definitely thought it was out. Cameron's obviously not going to respond in any other way other than...
he just laughed. He laughed.
But the thing that I fucking find funny is, and you mentioned this earlier, is people on social media saying Maynard should have been cited for dissent.
The dissent rule's well and truly gone now, isn't it?
And, you're right. He should have been cited for dissent. However, this is the fucking thing that annoys me. This shows why the AFL is such a fucking weak organisation. You want to fix the situation by punishing the people who got frustrated at your ineptitude. So instead of actually addressing the ineptitude, it's like, let's punish the people who got upset because you couldn't make a basic call. And that's the problem with the AFL. They should have just come out and said, yeah, that was out of bounds. We should have called it. We apologise to the Collingwood Football Club. We'll strive to do better. But instead, they've backed it in. And then that goes to the next one, the fourth quarter one, where the mark and the handball to Cameron out of bounds.
They're in the car park, the latest rumour is.
Yeah. And the AFL has come out and said, well, that one was wrong. Both these goals came at pivotal times.
Oh, that's the key. And look, then someone actually made a comment, I can't remember who it was, that I read somewhere. And not that I'm a betting man or anything like that, but the point was, if you seriously put money on these games, and this is the levels of ineptitude that adjudicates what's going on, it's like that fool and your money is soon parted type thing, because realistically, you've got all these events that should be fucking clear-cut, that are just fucking chook lotto at the best of times.
Well,
it's just nuts.
In the Carlton-Melbourne game, the last Petrarca kick...
Oh, that was...
And I saw on Footy Classified, and I actually rate Matthew Lloyd probably the best commentator on football, like the best, the guy who has the best perspective, and it's totally neutral. And he talked about that, like he said his gut instinct was a goal, but he said it's fucking amateur hour if that's your technology to decipher whether it was or wasn't. And what if that happens in the grand final? And that's the technology you're relying on.
As I said to you in text, you look at tennis. That Hawkeye's been refined so well over its life that it's so relied upon and trusted now that they've removed the linesman from the thing, because you don't need them making a mistake that the machine's probably not going to make. And the same with soccer. Yeah, you saw one of those penalty things was one the other day because the ball clearly could be seen to be 1 millimetre over the line. And yet the AFL have fucking 3 webcams stuck to a post with sticky tape from 1982 showing a fucking blurry angle that's completely inconclusive. The thing is with this, with that Carlton thing, the Melbourne goal, is that the umpire didn't fucking know with any sureness himself.
Yeah.
So you go to the technology, and the technology goes, well, I don't fucking know either. Let's go to the guy who guessed.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. You've really got to start going, well, I don't fucking know. Take the umpire's call out of the equation. Because it ends up being borderline fast when it goes, it's inconclusive, umpire's call. Yeah. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, look, I think they should just default to it's a goal. If you don't know, it's a fucking goal, and that's just bad luck but at least it's always 100% consistent. Because there's a lot of them where they don't know, and neither of them know, so it's like, okay, well, you just guess that. At least have an absolute in there rather than this fucking murkiness. But those two came at such vital times of the game, and then you have Chris Scott in the press conference. Oh, well, I didn't see it.
Oh, fucking
How are you not watching where the ball is? You're the fucking coach.
Hand on heart, I didn't see it. But some people who really know more about football than you do said it was okay.
Yeah.
But you clearly got a different opinion to them, but they know a lot about football, so there you go. What a fucking smug prick. You know, we should get the fucking keyboard and smack him in the head.
Oh, he's quite thick, isn't he? Yeah, look, I find that ridiculous. And his press conference, I saw parts of it, but that whole response to that, it's like, hey, this didn't happen, 100 metres behind play. If this was the play, how were you not looking at it at that time? Honestly, that would be the fucking most ridiculous statement that any coach has ever made, to say, yeah, I actually wasn't watching the play at that time. I don't have a reason to watch the play.
I think the Scots only see about 5% of football because they're doing this all the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a farce. And the thing I really hate in AFL is...
Everything?
Yeah. You got it. And the AFL will never address this. They will never address this. It just goes into that box of, it's fucking like the Bermuda Triangle. It goes in there as a mystery. It'll never be solved. It'll never be addressed.
It's like, well, the AFL's introduced like a snickometer type thing, haven't they? They've got something.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty much just some bloke who just decides, he goes, shh, boop. Oh, that one hit the post. That's a goal. That's not a goal.
Their technology is fucking terrible. And, Matthew Lloyd made a really good point. If you decide and it always goes to that, if we decide a grand final on this, it's a farce. Imagine losing the grand final the way Melbourne lost to Carlton because the umpire's not sure which way it went. It's ridiculous.
You would imagine the thing that stops the AFL from doing anything about this is you've got probably, about 6 core grounds that you'd have to fit out with the permanent fitting of the technology, and a number of floater grounds when they go up north and they go down to Taswegia. Where else do they play? Stockholm or something like that. You're going to have like a portable version of this type of thing. But surely, though, it's...
Well, it's a fucking $1 billion industry. They should be able to afford a couple of grand for some better cameras and better technology and better
better sticky tape.
Oh, well, they've got to do something at the umpiring. It was really interesting that Peter Dacos came out and said, well, you got 4 umpires and it's fucking worse than ever.
Oh, I absolutely totally agree with that. And that's their answer to anything. It's just throw more fucking umpires at the problem. So the umpires are the problem. So if there's more of them, shouldn't that just fix it?
Well,
I mean, the fucking things that get missed, like, even in that Carlton game, when Oliver had his fucking legs taken out.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 of them couldn't see that. I mean, the fact that he was parallel with the ground and come smacking down and no one saw it, although Chris Scott wouldn't have seen it.
No.
Hand on heart, he wouldn't have seen it.
But there was I can't remember who the Geelong player was. There's one in our game where Geelong player fell over.
Are we talking about our game now, are we?
Yeah, we're talking about the AFL umpiring in general. The Geelong player fell over and he fell into high contact. And it was like, well, that's high. He fucking slipped over. So now we're responsible for people slipping into free kicks. if that's the case, what's the difference between that and diving? People are just gonna fucking be falling over banana peels and initiating high contact if that's the determination. It's really just shit that I was just gonna say. Like the AFL never addresses this. This is what the problem is. It's not the umpires themselves. The AFL should just go, those two calls, they were both fucking wrong. You're both getting dropped. And this shit about, it's hard getting umpires. It's like, then just fucking pay them more. So even people who hate the job are going to do it because they have a love of money. It's not that hard a solution. Make them professional, pay them a lot. So you get people who are like coming out of football careers or, who tried to make AFL standard and then do it, they're going, what else do I do? Because I've been playing football all my life. I'll become an umpire for 150 grand a year. That's a good fucking profession.
And get rid of the inclusivity, so those with the vision impairedness don't have to actually get a job. I mean, the thing is, and just to show that we're not biased, and we do have an appreciation for any Geelong sucks watching this episode. There was those two incidents that we were talking about when we watched the highlights before, where Adams pushed the Geelong suck in the back, and then Mihocek was tackled and he dropped the ball. I mean, there's two frees there that should have gone Geelong's way.
Yeah.
So it's not just us bitching about the shit quality of umpiring. There's still 4 umpires that fucking missed that.
But that's the problem with it.
Hand on heart, they said though the umpires. Hand on heart.
I didn't say it.
No, but apparently
I know someone who knows a lot about football.
Yeah, that's what the umpire said. He goes, "I missed that one," but someone who knows more about football certainly saw it. That'd be the crowd, by the way. I think.
Yeah, but that's the biggest problem with fucking the AFL umpiring is also the malleability. Yeah, that's it. But the malleability of the rules is like, well, dissent was a thing for a month, and now it's not a thing. Holding the ball is a thing, now it's not a thing. Pushing it back, that was a thing, now it's not a thing. You scowled at Charlie Kerner, well, that's always a thing, so he always gets those threes. But this whole thing of like, no one knows what the fucking rules are from game to game, let alone from week to week. So how are you going to have any integrity to governing the game when the rules are fucking changing or the interpretations are constantly in flux? It's just really frustrating to watch a game and go, well, that's a push. You didn't pay it. Oh, hang on, but now I'm going to pay this one. It's like, how are those people not fucking seeing these things? And a lot of times, the umpires are in really good positions. So this bullshit, they're out of position or they're blinded. So many times, the umpire is right there. He's like right there. He's a metre away. If he didn't see it, yeah, there he is. If he didn't see it, then you know what? He's a fucking liar. Or like Chris Scott, he's not watching, but he should be because that's his job to watch. How much do you think this restores Collingwood's form? So like the 2 weeks were terrible against Carlton.
Have we apologised for that yet?
I'm not apologising for fucking anything. Until you win the flag, what the fuck do you think you've done? Jesus.
I'd like to say I'm sorry though.
To who?
Restored the faith, is that the question?
Yeah.
It's a good step in that direction. Like I said, I didn't think we'd win this week. I thought Geelong had a lot more to play for, and I think and that was based on the fact that our form over the last 2 weeks have been pretty fucking ordinary. I thought we're going to carry that into this week. We'll lose this, but that I didn't expect that much of a rapid turnaround. And considering too that more went out, I mean, you would have heard a collective thud around Victoria as everyone thought, well, that's it, the flag's done. You pack it away now, but they played admirably without him.
Also, I think it showed, they played really well with Rant at 14 Cameron without Moore, and it sort of shows that, people think it's all about Moore, the defence. It's not. You get like a lot of those other guys like Markov. I think he started really early, he went a little bit quiet, but then he sort of came into it again. Quaynor was good, Noble was okay. Crisp, he's playing this year, isn't he?
Mentioned Hoskin Elliott.
Hoskin Elliott, but he wasn't in defence. But Hoskin...
Oh, you're talking defence?
Yeah, I'm talking
about defence. Just talking blokes who vanished for a while.
No, I'm just talking about, like, without more in defence, you'd think it would all implode, like the Titan. But it actually stood up really well, despite the fact they were getting...
Unlike Dangerfield.
Yeah, well, Dangerfield, yeah. But it stood up well without more there, and it probably shows that he's actually a little bit of a luxury in that regard. You don't need, like, people think, because he's such a dominant interceptor and that, we can't survive without him. Well, I think it showed that you can, that there's other facets there.
Do you know maybe why he did his hamstring?
I'm shudder to ask.
He was running in a straight line.
Oh, that's right. He can't turn, can he? Yeah, I wonder if that's...
Like the Titanic.
Yeah, I wonder if that's news to his opponents. I hear the opposition coaches just saying, just turn, he can't follow you. He'll keep going straight.
He's like Forrest Gump running out of the stadium. Yeah. He's just going to keep going and then cover Philadelphia.
Yep. Midfield. Mm-hmm. Josh Dacos, brilliant game.
How fucking good. I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, somebody had to.
In the absence of his brother too. It's like I've got to carry the torch and then amplify it. No, that was a brilliant game from
some of his ball use was just fucking scintillating.
Yeah, but I think it usually is. I think everyone's so busy gushing week to week about Nick's performances that a lot of his stuff goes unheralded. And he's been exceptionally good this year. He should well and truly have an All-Australian jacket locked in.
And I think the way they used him was just brilliant. It's like they kept him on the outside to get the ball fed.
Yep.
And we've been saying that for a while. I mean, he's a slider body. He shouldn't be getting, inside packs where he's going to get busted out. Put him on the outside, feed him the ball. A lot of his possessions are uncontested, and that's fine because that's just the modern game. And he was using his skills to set up attack after attack. What about the midfield, though? So no Nick Dacos. You got Adams, Mitchell, De Goey, Pendlebury. Dangerfield was on Pendlebury. And although, we only lost the centre clearances by 4, I think we lost them by 16 all up. However, a lot of the game, watching Geelong, every time they got the ball, it's just like they streamed away from clearances, and we were very one-paced and lacked that defensive accountability, or just that defensive intensity to stop them. The Pendlebury Dangerfield one was really, really frustrating for me because Dangerfield just kept straying away from Pendlebury. They should have put Pendlebury defensive side so at least Dangerfield would be running into him, or I really thought they should put McCreary onto Dangerfield and just go, you match him up for pace and physicality.
Yeah, no, it's becoming more and more evident, I think, that McCreary needs that move into the midfield or get some midfield minutes, especially, I think, when Nick comes back too, because you really do need that my bodyguard hanging around me a fair bit, and Maynard's another candidate that could be pushing
and
up.
And the other left field one's Collingwood. I know these guys are playing well in defence, but right now that midfield, I think it's just way too one-paced. The guy has a little bit of explosiveness. He hasn't been the same since he came back from that brutal hit that Hewitt gave his shoulder. So he looks like he's also carrying something.
Is it the side?
Yeah, he's done that in the past. But yeah, it's that midfield I think lacks one thing. I think it lacks size because you got Mitchell and Adams. They're about 4'6" each. The goalie's a bull. Pendlebury's actually a big guy, but he's slowed down quite a bit. I thought there was a couple of players toward the end where he just kept his calm in traffic, but for centre clearances, for ball ups, it's just frantic, and you need guys who are going to be a lot quicker to respond. And Pendlebury doesn't have that speed anymore, or that little bit of speed he might have had. So you have Adams and Mitchell who are a little bit undersized. So when you play the Carltons and that, they're getting a bustled out a bit, and they don't have speed to compensate. So it's you got to bring someone in there who's going to add that dimensionality to it. And I think that's McCreary and Maynard. It's a shame that they didn't look at people like Reece McInnes and Josh Carmichael also just to see what they could have offered.
Yeah, well, Carm had a good week in the VFL, I believe. 4 goals or something.
That was McInnes.
No, Josh Carmichael, wasn't it?
I thought McInnes kicked the full out. Why don't you do some research?
I don't know. What the fuck? I just make shit up.
They smashed Kruger also had a good reserves game, but can you see him playing in that same forward line as...
No, I think his race has run.
And Jeremy Howe staying up forward?
I'd keep him up forward. I think the back line functions a little bit better without him at the moment. And he's up there creating opportunities. He had that beautiful little tap on to McCreary for one goal. End up with 2 or 3? Two. It's not a bad return. I mean, at the moment,
you take that, wouldn't you?
Well, I'd take it. He's doing that Ash Johnson role just better. I'd keep him there.
Yeah, I do respect the club's vision in re-signing guys for 2 years and then playing him in the VFL. I think it's genius.
For what it's worth, I'd have Cox back in a heartbeat at the moment. I think Cameron's down on output.
Look, I'd love to see Cox play the ruck. I've said that for 19 years.
And let Frampton just swing in and out. I think on the performance again this weekend, Cameron was down. He dropped a lot of marks. The ruck works is what it is. I'd bring Cox in for a couple of weeks at least to see what he is and whether Cameron needs a rest. Another one that just came straight back in.
Well,
potentially underdone. So
didn't Dunn retire a couple of years ago?
I was over.
Yeah, look, I said it before. Cox was best on ground against GWS, and Cameron was out with the knee injury, and then Cameron came back, and they just put him straight in the ruck. And I really would have thought that would be an opportunity to just look at Cox in the ruck for like a month and let Cameron run around in the VFL, get some fitness and touch, and actually even just see if like, hey, let's see how good a ruckman is Cox, because I think he's a much better ruckman than Cameron.
Yeah,
he's a much better ruckman than he is a forward. But you know, we get slammed, you particularly, for like talking about, oh well, hang on, it's not settled. It should be settled by now. And people go, oh no, McRae's working it out.
It's a work in progress.
You're 2 weeks from finals. This should be pretty worked out. And there's still a lot of experimentation, and part of that's because of injury. But like that forward line seems, because you don't have the Charlie Curnow in there, you're really relying on an even spread. And it's like 218 where someone will pop up and kick a little bag, and then the others will support him. But it feels like sometimes the players sort of disappear into a vacuum because things aren't quite working or clicking. And that's where it'd be really good to have someone dominant as a forward. Your favourite player, Will Hoskin-Elliott. Was that the best game you've seen him play?
Oh, I actually did see him. So the answer would be yes. No, he was good. I mean...
Oh, well, you came in on some stellar form in the VFL.
Yeah. Look, to his credit, and I think to the whole side's credit, there was no passengers this week. Everyone contributed.
Jack Crisp?
Hey?
Jack Crisp.
Yeah, oh, you saw the game differently to me. I didn't think he was that bad, but you obviously...
I didn't think he was bad. I just didn't think he was that great.
I mean, when I got here, you were stabbing a voodoo doll like there was no tomorrow.
I was stabbing a packet of crisps.
And is this the guy who wrote the keyboard joke? Well, you don't write jokes, do you?
I don't
really.
know.
You just come in and say, "Why don't you say this, dickhead?"
And
you'll do it.
I draw stuff like that from life experience. Imagine that happening to see you. You know, during a meeting with someone.
Someone of questionable intelligence just endlessly banging a keyboard. That never happens, does it?
So, all right. So, Patrick Lipinski, we've apologised for him having, you know...
Apologise for him or apologise to him?
Both. Going forward, how's it going to look?
Are we talking next week or a work in progress? I wouldn't have a clue.
So, Moore will be out.
Well, that's it. I think you'd almost leave the side unchanged, wouldn't you? And
I wouldn't play Moore for an injury, no. So, I would actually change part of it.
Oh, well, I'd probably swap Cox for Cameron.
Yep.
And Ginnivan stays in, not necessarily for more, but just for numbers. And then you just have someone else in as a sub. They're going to have to reward someone in the VFL. They had a good win on the weekend. Did McRae play?
No, he's coach.
No, really?
Yeah.
Is he a work in progress?
No, McRae didn't play as far as I'm aware.
Carmichael had a good hit out. He kicked 4 goals, I heard.
I thought it was McInnes. We'll check that one day.
Can you put one of those scrolling messages up to show the stats for the VFL?
Somehow, McRae returned. A special mention to Brian Taylor post-game.
Oh, geez, you can't go an episode without bagging one of the commentators.
No, just him.
What about Brayshaw? Superb.
There was a bit like...
Is Brayshaw paid by the amount of times he says superb in a game? I mean, it should be like a little dollar counter in the corner of the TV. He'd be up to about $18 million by the end of a superb call in a game.
They should have like the scene in Flying High where Elaine is sitting by Striker and she's looking for a thesaurus. So she's, you know, as he's saying, this is what's happening to the plane. Anyway, going a little bit aside... Taylor, you know, if he's roaming Brian, he went and interrupted fucking Taylor Adams. I was going to say Brian Adams. He interrupted Taylor Adams who was speaking to a couple, and Vinny was going, hi Taylor, and blah, blah, blah. And Taylor goes, this guy's actually
got cancer.
Got cancer.
I'm not laughing because of that.
No, I'm like, and Taylor's just like, oh yeah, okay.
All good now?
All good now? Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And the guy's, no, not really. And Taylor Adams handled it superbly. But Taylor, but this problem with the fucking roaming Brian, it's the fucking worst thing. Show some sensitivity, you moronic fuckwit.
The funny thing is I think the Collingwood, for the bulk of it, pretty much shun him. Like, he ended up fucking talking to the boot stutter guy who didn't want to have a bar with him either, mate.
What are you doing? Take a guess, Brian. I have a boot in my hand.
He said, he goes, are you taking the mud off the bottom of the boots? He goes, it's more like I'm shoveling the shit that comes out of Brayshaw's mouth. Superbly.
I got to give credit to Tom Brown. So I usually knock him, and now I'm going to give him some credit. Have you ever seen Tom Brown in person?
No. Can you see him in person in one viewing?
His head is huge.
It is big. It influences the tides.
I walked past him at an event and nearly got sucked into the gravitational pull.
It is. It's like Jupiter.
Yeah, but he mentioned like he was speaking to Peter Dacos, who was a little bit dirty, but he felt Nick Dacos was treated unfairly.
Did Peter land on his head like Apollo 11?
Peter Landy retired years ago.
One small step for man, one giant leap on Tom Brown's head.
But he mentioned that Peter Dacos was pretty dirty about the way Nick Dacos was handled against Hawthorn. And Hawthorn accidentally concussed Liberatore in the Bulldogs Hawthorn game.
They?
Yeah, and he went off. Geez, you're making a good.
Was he anywhere near the ball at the time?
I asked Sam Mitchell, but he wasn't watching. He wasn't watching it.
Hand on heart, he said.
Yeah, hand on heart, he wasn't watching. So,
but some people who know football better than you do were.
But I was glad that Tom Brown, he actually mentioned that, because the tactics they have used on Nick Dacos, which I mentioned, it's just shit else. And the AFL should do something, but they're apparently a shit organisation. So, good on you, Tom, for saying that. So, look, I'm commending you for once. Any final thoughts on the actual game?
No, it was just fucking good, really.
Yeah, I agree. The club wheeled out a new membership package with legends being moved for games like Hawthorn and Richmond, are they?
Yeah, no, I believe if you're...
I don't know.
Do we give a fuck about this?
Yeah, we do. Cause
for those of you who give a fuck about this, anyone on level 2 has a seat, loses it for... Or some of them lose it for the Richmond... And who's the other pricks? Hawthorn. Game, and you can have your choice of level 1... or up in the pigeon shit on level 4.
Jeez.
So they've announced that as a change. I think is next year that they've been negotiating this for 48 years.
So they negotiated for worse seats.
Yeah.
Good job.
Some of them apparently are even in the ground, though, at least. I did see Brown say that he was happy with the outcome. But there's big bone of contention for Legends members, I believe, is this 1892 membership where you have to dress up in your Sunday refinement and go to the game in a horse and cart.
Oh, okay.
Or did I get that one wrong?
Do you think this is a failure of the club to do better for their members, or do you think it's just sort of a circumstance of the landscape right now that they can't really do anything? Because I don't really know a lot about the membership.
No, I believe the feel at the moment is it's coming across as a bit of a money grab.
From, and they did inflate the price.
We've spoken to, because they come to us because we listen. We listen hand on heart. We pay attention. I don't know. I think the thing is, if you want to look at it objectively, most sporting clubs around the world would have this enormous top tier of membership no matter what. I don't know whether this one is just being slapped in as something new, or whether it's meant to replace something that's there, or whether what's there now still remains there, but then you could have this as if you chose to do it. I think there's some trinkets and some gratuities or something thrown in over the top. I don't know exactly what they are. I think you get to talk to a player or something, or shake hands with someone from the 1912 side. What's left of him? So, bit of a skeletal hand or something you get to introduce yourself to. I don't know. I really fucking know. Is this going anywhere? Have you got something you want to say?
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What'd you say?
Hand on heart.
No, look, I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about the membership things, but I know there's a lot of people I rate. I had dinner with some people on Wednesday who are really pissed off.
With the food?
And the membership. There was actually someone who didn't get his pizza delivered. What would you do in that situation? There were 6 of us. They took our orders. They only brought back 5 pizzas, and they totally forgot one poor guy's pizza. What would you do if you were the restaurateur?
Did he have it coming?
No.
Oh. You give him another pizza. What happened? Is there a good outcome in this story? Is there a happy ending?
They eventually cooked it, but I mean, all the rest of us were eating.
You're already at home. The restaurant was closed.
So I mean, would you have comped him the pizza?
Would you've given it to him for free? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you would have, wouldn't you? So they made him.
Oh, they didn't, but that's what. Yeah, I would have thought they.
Fucking hell. Was the Collingwood membership department running this pizza shop?
EGM now.
Was it the 1892 pizza that he ordered?
Playing Brisbane this week.
He said you can eat this pizza normally in the seat that you're currently in, but by the second slice you have to fuck off somewhere else.
So is that a failing of Jeff Brown? Jeff Brown, can we trust him?
Tom says we can. I don't think so. Wouldn't that be the membership department that punches. They surely don't go to the board and do a presentation and say, look, we're going to fuck all the Legends members off with this new tier of membership. And Jeff went, super.
Yeah, but surely the whole club's talking about it. So the board will be going, this is what we're renegotiating with the MCG and all that sort of shit. So surely the president would be going, okay, this is what I want you to strive for. Surely I don't sort of give it to him and go, this is a finished deal. And he
Surprise.
goes, yeah, holy fuck, I didn't want this.
Well, I thought these two things are in isolation of each other, isn't it?
I would have thought the board would be looking at all this stuff. I'm not criticising the board, but I'm just saying the way a club operates.
Sounds like you're criticising the board.
Yeah, probably. The board would be the people watching someone else's show. I won't mention names. Playing Brisbane at Marvel.
Yeah, well, isn't that good? First versus second, is it still?
Look, I got to excuse the AFL because last year Collingwood finished third and Brisbane finished fourth.
Did they?
No, top four, weren't they? Because Melbourne lost in straight sets. So whoever would have thought third versus fourth from last year could possibly draw a crowd this year.
No, that wouldn't happen.
No. So why would you play at the MCG?
Well, I guess there's a game on that night.
Yeah, but they do the fixture like about 6 months in advance. So they could have worked that out.
But maybe the G's booked out. Is there something happening there this Friday night?
I don't know. Is there?
No, it's empty. I think it's fucking... Surely, like, common sense, you've got enough time to fucking move people back.
Given the fixtures are rolling fixtures, so they would have done this in...
How's the seating arrangements? Has Jeff Brown lost any seats there?
No, I hear for the MCG game they're setting people at Geelong Station. But, it's a rolling fixture, so they would have done this in June, July. So they would have known Brisbane and Collingwood are both up at that stage. It's not like they did it 12 months in advance and both clubs had collapsed. They're doing the second half of the season after they know what the first half looks like.
Aren't we obligated to play X amount of games at that toilet of a ground?
Yeah, we are, but surely you can factor that in and
play North Melbourne or something.
Yeah,
you play. Did we play North there?
Yeah, play North or Hawthorn.
Did we play them twice?
No, we played them once.
Could we tell Brisbane to fuck off this week and play a shit side?
Yeah, we could do that. But yeah, you'd think you'd sort of go... Look, I actually think what the board should fucking do is, we're happy to play 19 away games there or whatever it is. We're refusing to play a single home game there. That's fucking not our ground. We're at the MCG. We'll play our 3-4 there, but they're going to have to be other people's home games or away games.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and I'm
I'm an idiot.
And I'm pretty sure Jeff Brown said that as part of his platform speech.
That I'm an idiot?
He said that too, yeah.
Huh.
So
you can't hide from the truth, mate.
No, you were playing a keyboard before.
That's right.
They're made for time.
And I was enjoying it. I didn't want to stop.
So we've talked about the changes already. Brisbane coming off they just beat Adelaide. They look pretty good. Charlie Cameron, really good. We tend to struggle with the really elite small forwards. What do you think about this game? We technically need to win one to secure top position.
Yeah, it's unlikely we drop out of the top two, but it's mathematically still possible.
Yeah, but we'd have to lose by quite a margin and drop out of the top two.
I think Port have to win all two of their games now and make up 20%.
Let me pose this hypothetical to you. So, if the ladder predictor is saying first versus fourth will be Collingwood Melbourne, would it be better to drop to second and then play Brisbane at the MCG?
The easy answer is if you're good enough, you're going to beat anyone on the day. Yeah. And I don't think you really want to hide... Do you want the safest route into a grand final? You do? Or do you need to be challenged a little bit?
It can be challenged a little bit, but the two grand finals, the 18 and 11 one...
18 and 11?
Yeah.
Do we have a membership for that?
Yeah, it's in Geelong Station. In 2018, we had the heart route of going to West Australia to play West Coast. And then we came and played GWS, and then we played Richmond. And in 2011, we just both finals against Hawthorn and West Coast were just really tough games. And I don't mind if you fucking get an easy run and just, you look at 2010, we had an easy run. We smashed Bulldogs, we smashed Geelong.
You get about 48 weeks off, though, in between games these days in the finals.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at it from the point of view of sometimes, you go back to 2011, we had this really tough run in and Geelong had a really cushy run in. And I think that sort of showed as the game went on. So I don't mind having an easy run in.
Fair enough.
The one thing I will say is because of losing the prelim last year, that surely should light a fire for them to say, we're going to be fucking on and on from the beginning. None of these last quarter comebacks.
No. No, look, at the moment, and then their form against the Blues yesterday wasn't all that great with the D's. They're going to be... You're just not sure what you're going to get. Look, I had them as probably flag favourites a couple of weeks ago, but they're looking a bit patchy at the moment. This is the thing is that everyone at the top four is looking gettable at the moment.
Well, Brisbane's always gettable interstate.
I'd be a lot more, to get back to the original question, I'd be a lot more confident if we were playing Brisbane this week at the highly utilised MCG. I don't know whether I'd be sitting in my same seat anymore. It's just a fucking debacle. I don't know, I'm not even a Legends member, and I'm my nose is out. But playing it sort of equalises a little bit. Playing it,
I think
at Telstra
I'm a big believer if your interstate clubs coming to Victoria and playing at Marvel, the hardest thing should be the acclimation to travelling from one state to another and dealing with new conditions. And playing at Marvel takes that entirely out because you're playing just dry football. It's like whenever you go up to Brisbane, you're going to deal with the dew and that sort of stuff. Well, not Stu, he's gone, but the dew on the field. So
you've got to also contend with a whole bunch of seats painted to look like jumpers are up there.
Are they?
Well, they always have the yellow and the blues, and from a distance it looks like people sitting there.
Okay.
There's only about 6 people to go.
Yeah.
For the support Brisbane, that is.
And
we go.
If I could tell the club something, it would be, if we had to play at at Marvel, I'd say I don't want to play near the state or at Marvel unless they're really, really shit like West Coast at the moment.
That's a good point. Are they wearing their Fitzroy jumpers this week?
I don't know.
Don't they usually wear them when they play there?
I don't know.
Could be an old-fashioned scrap.
What's your tip?
I'd say probably if we were playing at the G, we'd win by 10 goals. The fact that we're playing at what's it called this week?
Marvel.
Marvel Stadium, and because they'll think they're at the Gabba, Brisbane will win by 10 goals.
Well, I would really like to see Collingwood make a statement and just smash the fuck out of
They
it.
could write a statement. Like, your seats are no longer going to be sat on by Collingwood bums. That'd be a statement.
There's so many places to go with that line. I'd like to make a statement. I'd like McRae to be telling the team, look, you're going to play these guys in the finals potentially.
Maybe you could tell them they're not a work in progress anymore. Maybe you're fixed. This is it, moving forward.
Well, no more than Nick Dacos, so we're a work in progress.
No, that's true.
So I'd actually like to just smash him.
Fucking smash him, you reckon?
Just smash him, and
With the keyboard? Should we get the keyboard back?
Why not?
The keyboard warrior?
Yeah. So I think smash him, but look, I don't know. There's good signs against Geelong, but as you said, it relies on that intensity.
And Danaher, he saves himself for our games.
He's had a good year, though.
Did he kick anything today?
I don't know. I don't watch Brisbane games. I don't watch Brisbane games.
Can we maybe have it scroll up, the stats from the Brisbane game?
No.
No, I wouldn't have thought so either.
No, I don't watch Brisbane. I probably don't even watch when they play us. I'll be like Chris Scott.
Handling hard.
Yeah.
Or just get some people who know a lot more about football to watch the game for you.
Okay. So that leaves out... I can't bag Carlton anymore. Fuck.
Pricks.
Yep. Any final thoughts?
No, let's just fucking finish this.
Thanks. I'm trying to think of a Mortal Kombat character.
Raiden.
Yeah, it's good. All right, that's
Johnny
it from
Cage.
us. No, sounds good.
Zhu Feng.
That's
I think he sold me some food yesterday.
Yeah. All right, that's it from us. Later.
And that's it from me.